let's talk about the prep product, since we talked about the primer and the hydrator, and I will give you more information. First, after you take off the surface shine, you use the hydrator and then you use primer. Dehydrator, it dehydrates the nail plate. So hydra is water in Latin. So dehydrator means it's taking the moisture off, like taking the water off. And that's exactly what we want dehydrator to do. And the primer creates a bond between the nail and the product. Sanitizer or antiseptic is good for sanitizing your hands, for cleaning surfaces. It may be even also good for nails when you want to clean the dust off, just clean the sidewalls, but it cannot replace the dehydrator. Okay, so this is a different product. Dehydrator helps to get rid of excess oils and moisture in the nail, so any product will adhere to it better. That's why we use the first one. How do you know if the product is dehydrator? Because now in today's market, it's so easy to get confused because we have so many different products and you're like, oh my God, is this dehydrator or what? Because they have so many different names. I've seen dehydrators with the names as pH bond, pre-primer, pro bond, nail prep, and so much more. First thing, they usually have a water-like consistency, like they're really runny, like liquid, like an actual water. Also, they evaporate quickly. Once you apply it on the nail, it's going to evaporate within a few seconds. Usually it's transparent looking liquid. Not necessarily clear, sometimes it may be pink clear, blue clear, but it's still like transparent. Usually there's whether no odor or a slight smell that's similar to sanitizer or alcohol. And the last thing, if you're still not sure, you may read the ingredients list and you will usually see at least one of those, whether it's ethyl acetate, butyl acetate, or isopropyl alcohol. And let me give you an examples. Let's say we have this one by Entity. Well, this one, luckily, thanks, it says directly nail dehydrator, so we do not have any doubts. But let's still check, just to be sure. Ingredients: isopropyl alcohol, ethyl acetate. So we are now 100% sure that this is dehydrator. Next one, nail prep. Now, this is not as obvious anymore, right? Well, it says that it's dehydrated, but still we want to be sure. So we read the ingredients. Isopropyl alcohol, ethyl acetate, butyl acetate. Yes, this is definitely dehydrator. Nail pure, sanitize, dehydrate. So once you see the word dehydrate, once again, pretty much this is dehydrator, and yes, is a butyl acetate. So yeah, we see this one. Then we have pH bond. Well, this one also says dehydrator. And let's see, isopropyl alcohol, ethyl acetate. All right, and pre-nail prep. You see another name for dehydrator. And we read in the ingredients, isopropyl alcohol, acetone, and so on. So these are dehydrators. Talk about primers. And the most common question is, should I use acid or non-acid primer? I've also heard about the primers like semi-acid or something like that. Well, normally primer, it's whether acid or non-acid. And they're slightly different. Let's talk about the acid primer first. The easiest way to figure out whether it's an acid primer, just read the ingredient list, and it's 92 to 100% methacrylic acid. It also usually have a protective cap because, you definitely don't want to touch that. One time I accidentally spilled it on my leg and it was burning like hell. You definitely don't want to touch it ever with your skin. Usually it has a dark glass bottle. It has a very strong vinegar-like odor, and usually the brush is short. In some brands, these things may differ sometimes, but this is like very common. So let's say this one, the one that you saw in the picture, you see this cap that you cannot just open. You need to, to turn, then you need to open, and then we have a very short brush. And yeah, you can definitely fill this order. So this is an entity primer, again with the protective cap, and this one is as well. So read the ingredient list, and now you can see methacrylic acid. So this one's definitely acid. Again, methacrylic acid and methacrylic acid. So yeah, no doubts that this is an acid one. So acid primer is really good for hyperhidrosis clients, for oily nails, and for thick nails. Actually, I'm going to explain how they work, and you will understand. This is the nail from the side view. When you're using acid primer, this is how it works. Well, first when you take in 180 or like 240 grit file and take off the surface shine, what happens? These layers of the nail plate, they slowly start to open up, so you will have a better adhesion with the product. Then you apply Dehydrator. It like cleans the oils, the moisture, and these layers open up a little bit more. And once you apply acid primer, they are doing something like that. Like it's also drying up the surface of the nail plate even more. And now we have that's why we have this crazy adhesion now. And once you apply the product, it's going to adhere to it really well. So this is how acid primer works. All right. Now we have a non-acid. So we do all the same for the prep. We take off the surface shine, we apply Dehydrator, so all these, layers open up a little bit. But then you apply non-acid primer, and this is what it does. You just apply it on top, and it creates its own bond with the nail plate. And on the top, it also creates another bond to adhere to the product. So basically it works like a double-sided tape, Scotch tape. So then you apply the product like here on top, and it connects to the primer. Okay, so what you need to understand from these structures is that non-acid primer does not involve the nail plate itself as much as an acid primer do. And that's why the acid primer is good. It's actually awesome for hyperhidrosis clients, because what do we have when we have hyperhidrosis? Over excessive moisture on top of the nail plate. And what acid primer does, it takes off this moisture off, and we need this extra help right here. Oily nails, same thing. Thick nails. But if you have a client with thin or damaged or overfiled nails, then I strongly do not recommend to use acid primer at all. And also I recommend using acid primer only when you're working with acrylic system. Okay? For light cured, for gel systems, it is better to use a non-acid.